Thank you, President Saller, and good morning, class of 2024. It is such an honor to be here with you and your families on this truly happy occasion. Today is the day you graduate from Stanford University, and that is an amazing accomplishment. Stanford has always held a special place in my family's heart. My dad, Ray French, received a scholarship to study mechanical engineering here in 1960. And while he worked on his master's degree, my mother, Elaine French, supported them with her job at a bottled water company. And on nights and weekends, she was my dad's lab assistant. There's an old photo I love of my mom, pregnant with my sister, standing next to the wind tunnel in the engineering lab with a clipboard and a stopwatch. Today, my mom and dad are back on campus for a very special occasion, to watch their granddaughter, Phoebe, graduate from the university that changed my dad's life. And Phoebe's not the only one to follow in his footsteps. My older daughter, Jen, and my son-in-law, Niall, earned degrees here too. So happy Father's Day, Dad, and to all the dads here. And Mom, thanks for making this story possible. I know there are many, many, many other parents, grandparents, and loved ones who are here and as proud to be here as my family and I are. Graduates, you have given us a lot to celebrate and also a lot to admire. You arrived on this campus already accomplished and ambitious young people. And during your time here, you've also proven how adaptable you are and what powerful advocates you are for the causes you believe in. Stanford is a demanding university, and your time here was made even more challenging by what was happening in the world all around you. From a once-in-a-century pandemic that changed the way you lived and learned, to multiple wars that I know this campus is feeling very, very deeply. There is no question you are graduating into a different world than the one you matriculated into. But you are also leaving this campus prepared to be the leaders that we all need. And today marks an important milestone in that journey. Shortly after I sit down, you will be invited to rise if you are able. You will hear that call as a Stanford student. You will answer that call as a Stanford graduate. And with that, a major transition in your life will begin. I've been thinking a lot lately about transitions. The spiritual leader Ram Dass had a wonderful teaching about two waves traveling through the ocean, one big and one small. And as the waves get closer to the land, the big wave sees what's about to happen. They see all the waves ahead of them are just crashing onto the shore. And devastated, the big wave says to the small wave, he warns them, the end is near. And the small wave just smiles and says, don't worry, we'll be fine. You don't understand, the big wave insists, we're done for. And the smaller wave is just totally calm and says, no, we're not. And I can explain why in just 6 words. You're not a wave, you're water. I love that story. It captures what it's like to experience an enormous transition without losing the core of who you are. I turned 60 this year, and you don't get to be my age without navigating all kinds of transitions. Some you embraced, and some you never expected. Some you hoped for, and some you fought as hard as you could. For me, those included starting my career at Microsoft, losing one of my very best friends to cancer, falling in love, having children, starting my work on behalf of women and girls, and ending a marriage and partnership of almost 30 years, and very recently, making a major career shift. In each case, there was a moment that I felt like that big wave, terrified that life as I knew it was about to be over. But I always made it to the next day, and so will you. And I've learned that the next day is when the real work begins. Because what we do the next day is what makes us who we are. So in addition to honoring all of your accomplishments today, I also want to offer you something to think about when you wake up tomorrow. 3 lessons I've learned from my own experience with transitions. The first piece of advice is to enter these moments with radical open-heartedness. Most of the time, we walk around through life in the thicket of our everyday routine. But during a transition, we step out of our familiar surroundings into a big, wide open space where everything is new. And there are 2 ways to encounter these spaces. You can keep your head down and focus on finding the shortest distance possible from one familiar thing to the next, or you can find the courage to linger in that liminal space and see what it has to tell you. That, to me, is practicing open-heartedness. I have to admit, as a young person, I managed transitions in the first way. I had a list of goals I wanted to accomplish, and as soon as I checked one off the list, I raced across the clearing to the next one. Because frankly, it was a lot less scary that way. But as I've gotten older, I've learned the value of embracing uncertainty. I'll give you one example of what this has looked like in my life. When I entered philanthropy more than 25 years ago, it was completely unfamiliar terrain. I didn't have any experience in global health or development yet. So I had a lot to learn, and I knew I'd need to pay attention. Now, initially, we thought the Foundation's work was going to focus on vaccine access. But when I started traveling around the world to see the work in action, the women I met kept changing the subject. They'd say, "What about the shots I used to get?" they'd ask me. And they were talking about contraceptives. So I stopped and I listened to what they had to say. And soon I was talking about contraceptives on almost all my trips and continuing those conversations back home with my team. And those conversations led to others.